obviously there's a lot of tips that need to be hammered out here when you talk about actually putting players back on campus and what would we need to be doing to not just protect them, but protect the possibility of having a season this fall. But yeah, I think we're seeing this is all being set in motion now. How conferences respond to that, I think, may vary a little bit. But yeah, certainly feels like at this point we are at least pointing in the right direction of taking the right steps over the summer here to eventually start a season in September.
Max, do you think that will be fans in September, but maybe no fans early and then fans later in the season?
Yeah, that's a heck of a question, and I think that's the one that these departments are really scrutinizing very carefully right now because as maybe as much as we probably want to see a college football season, no matter what, even if there's not fans in the stands, you certainly still need to solve the financial component of this, and that's a huge problem. So. I'm sure that you're going to see athletic directors say, we're looking into models where we can have 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, people in a stadium, the sort of limited capacity stuff. That's another one where the government's got to get involved and tell you what you can and can't do. But I mean, I think right now you're still seeing them sort of talk about that hypothetically, and it's still going to be a long time before we have some real clarity on not just what do you do with people, but what do you do with their season tickets.
Max, I saw that you retweeted, had a piece on Neil Brown in West Virginia. He's heading into year 2 now. That's a team that's very intriguing to me because I think he's a good coach, and I think towards the end of last year, they gave Baylor a run for their money, and if not for that blocked field goal, who knows what happens. And, they closed out on a strong note. What are your expectations for West Virginia and kind of where they are in the thick of things with Neil Brown another year?
Yeah, I think year 1 for West Virginia was about what I expected because they just lost so much, senior talent and leadership off of that 2018 team that almost played for a Big 12 title. So you knew it was going to be a big step back, and that's partially, I think, why Dana Holgorsen felt like it was time to make a move. But, I think the thing that's encouraging West Virginia is just from September to the end of December, like you saw them get better. And it wasn't all linear, but you saw them steadily get a little bit better. I think when they went to Jared Diggy, for those final 4 games, I think you really saw he gave them a spark, and certainly, like the season finale with TCU to knock TCU out of going to a bowl. I think you saw them play some good teams and play them really close on the stretch there. So I don't know that West Virginia is going to be really good in 2020. I think it's still going to process, and what Neil Brown told me when he got there was, we're going to be good. I just don't know when. And I think it's still going to take some time, but they've definitely got the right guy running the show.
Max Olson, theathletic.com with us, covers college football on SicEm365 radio. So Mac Rhodes was on our show Tuesday. He's been doing shows with us Tuesdays now since he arrived in, 2016. Ole Miss, somebody jumped the gun and mentioned their game would be on its own on Labor Day Sunday, the weekend. Not yet, at least not yet been given the official deal. But one of the things that I would think if you're Baylor, and I know that their opening 12 game is against Kansas. I believe it's a home game, but you lose a day of prep right there. Would that be a problem for you no matter who the opponent is?
Are you if they were to lose that game? Or what?
No, they're going to play Sunday. That's just a matter. It's going to eventually be out there. I mean, Ole Miss kind of had a couple of writers mention that. But that's one less day, even though the game is in Houston. It's not a home game. It's in Houston. That's one less day of prep for the opening game with the Big 12, and who knows what Les might put together in year 2.
So you're saying it's one less day to get ready for Kansas?
Yeah.
I think they'll be okay.
Okay.
No, look, I mean, it's going to be a process for Dave Aranda and his staff. Obviously, they're still trying to. They're going to be this summer to make up for what they lost in the spring. There's no doubt. And so, certainly that September schedule is really interesting for them because you say, okay, obviously you got to play your best football to start off there against Ole Miss, and the Ole Miss staff is obviously going through this same problem. So, look, every day counts for this Baylor staff, no doubt. And so I can see the concerns there, and certainly Kansas. I think the fact that Kansas has the year or the off season to really, make that switch on offense to what Brett Dearman's doing makes them a little bit more dangerous. But I don't know. I just don't think historically. I don't think we've seen that playing that Sunday game ends up hurting you that much, other than, maybe you if you spend that time on recovery like you usually would, you just have a little bit less prep time. I think that's probably fair.
Max, I noticed on your podcast, The Sellouts, where you talk a lot of Nebraska football. You've been going back and rewatching games, and the most recent one, you watched 0-1 Nebraska and Oklahoma. How much fun have you had? Because I know, we're all looking for content and figuring out things to do. So what's it been like going back and watching from 2001 and other periods?
Yeah, the video is pretty grainy. It's not great, but you gotta appreciate. YouTube is really a treasure trove of old football games. So yeah, Mitch Sherman and I, who do the Nebraska podcast, for the Athletic, we've had fun going through some old games here, and this latest one, an interesting time in the Big 12 when you've got Nebraska and Oklahoma, and they were 1-2 in the BCS at that point when they played. Biggest win in Frank Solch's career. Bob Stoops was just really getting it rolling at Oklahoma after winning that national title. But that ends up being the year. Colorado upsets Nebraska, and Texas, makes it to the Big 12 title game, loses to Colorado. The Big 12 had 4 top 10 teams that year. So it's an interesting time to go back and look. You've got Ella Roberson and Cliff Kingsbury and Seneca Wallace, some really good quarterbacks in the league. It was fun to go back and look at a game like that was, huge for the conference. And then things obviously changed quite a bit there in November.
Yeah, they win the game on the flea flick. I don't remember the score at that moment, but that was the flea flicker back to Crouch. And that was explosive the year before Oklahoma won it all. Of course, Colorado then took the heart and soul of Nebraska football out, and they've never returned since 66. I don't know if they've ever returned from that.
Well, Max,
it's true.
Do you have optimism here under Frost?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've got it. They've got a lot that they got to fix and get. I mean, I think you saw a real sophomore slump from Adrian Martinez season, which we didn't really expect. And just I think you saw that their talent level is just not where it needs to be, and you saw that in a bunch of Big Ten games, not just against the best teams in the conference like Ohio State, but really even against like Purdue, Indiana. So. It's still going to be a process for them to get a lot better, and they need to get more talent on that. But yeah, I think can they take a nice little step of getting back to a bowl game and winning 6, 7, 8 games? I think that's possible if Martinez can get back to what we saw from him as a freshman.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. Max Olson from theathletic.com covers college football with us on Thursdays at 4 o'clock on SicEm365 Radio. Up next, one of the big stories in college athletics this week was SFA having to give up wins and conference titles and banners and whatever else because of academic issues, something North Carolina never had to do. And we'll talk to the athletic director, Ryan Ivey, next on SicEm365 Radio.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 50 in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high-performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Hi, this is Steve Huff, head football coach, College Station High School, and you're listening to SicEm365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
SicEm365 5 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at IdealMRI.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Ready to get outside? Go where you want to go in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. Get employee pricing plus for all on new 2020 Gladiators and Wranglers. Put yourself in a new 2020 Grand Cherokee, Compass, Cherokee, or Renegade with 0% for 72 and no payments for up to 120 days. Let's go! Allen Samuels is ready to do business in person or online. Drive forward in a Jeep from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live guest.
This is SicEm365. David Smoke, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and also Dylan Chapman. We're going to be joined by Stephen F. Austin, AD Ryan Ivey momentarily. You know the story. NCAA has forced them to give back wins, also remove banners, and the basic history of the last few years at Stephen F. Austin State University. And all of you also know I'm a prom of SFA. I got my in May of 1981, radio and television. I would not be here today in this business if it wasn't for the tiny radio station on campus, KSAU, gave me the first opportunity to be even understand the business. We're now joined by Ryan Ivey, AD at Stephen F. Austin. Ryan, I know you've had better days, but apparently you've known about this for quite some time. How long time you accepted the job at SFA did you realize that there was a dumpster fire academically?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having me on, David, and certainly appreciate all your support of Stephen F. Austin. We are proud of and we're excited for everything that you're doing as well. But to answer your question, once we had transitioned some individuals out of the athletics department and brought in new individuals, as we started, we brought in some individuals to help us look at how we could improve our APR scores, because when we were APR scores as a whole, they were trending down a little bit. So we were trying to come up with different creative ways to look at how we could improve our APR scores and really focus on them. So we brought some individuals in as a consultant to come out and help us. And then about the same time, our assistant AD for compliance was starting to go through and prepare for the certification process. And so once she started doing that, that's when we knew that there were issues moving forward, and we knew these student athletes that we were looking at just doing some spot checks on some certification were coming up, 20 hours plus short of progress towards degree, and that's when we knew we were in trouble.
Colby Carthel last year, who I've gotten to know when he was a head coach at Commerce, and of course that's your connection as well. But yep. He told me, following the game in Waco against Baylor, that they were boarding the bus to leave for Waco. And, of course, at the time, I didn't know exactly how deep this was, that you all had to kind of almost tell certain players to come off the bus because you found out they were academically ineligible. Was that one of the stories as well?
It is, yeah, that's correct. So again, once we realized the situation in April of 19 and went through the certification process, we knew that we had several football players that were going to need, some of them even 20 plus hours of summer school to meet PTD percentage before the fall semester started. And so once we knew that and we went through the summer school, and obviously taking 20 hours of summer school is a load for anyone. And so some of them we just couldn't make it because we didn't have the courses and some of those things. So we started trying to submit to the MCA, and we were waiting on that information. And the challenge was with that, the timing of it is we finished summer school into that first week of August. And so we were into that second week of August before the grades came back for summer. And then we had about 2 to 3 weeks before our game there in Waco. And so we had to try to expedite some of these waiver requests from the NCAA, and it just took time. And them again, we just didn't get until that Thursday or that Friday when we were loading the bus coming to Waco. And so we had to pull those individuals off because we got word that they weren't eligible or the waiver was denied. We had to pull them off. So.
Ryan, not at all to dwell in your misery, but I'm just curious from a human perspective. It's never good to get bad being in your position when it dawned on you of what actually was occurring and what you guys were facing. I mean, just can you kind of take us into your shoes of being in a position of power and having to handle something like that you hope you never have to handle?
Yeah, I think, again, initially, I think it was shock and just kind of disbelief that surely to goodness this wasn't actually happening. As you guys know, and I have known, I have outside looking in, I have the utmost respect for Stephen F. Austin State University, the things that this institution has done over the course of time, especially from an athletic standpoint, what it's meant to East Texas, what it's meant to the state of Texas, and I think looking into it, surely to goodness, this isn't actually occurring moving forward. But again, as we got deeper into it, we realized we had a systemic problem. And so we dealt with that head on. And I think at that point in time, again, like any leader does, and I've told our staff multiple times through this process, said, hey, look, we can either sit around and we can whine and complain about it, or we can identify the problem, find a solution to the problem, fix it, own it, and let's move forward and think about the future. Because I firmly believe we have a great future ahead of us here at Stephen F. Austin, especially from an athletics department standpoint. We have some great things going. We have some great coaches in place, and the future is going to be really bright for us.
Ryan Ivey, AD at SFA, is with us. Matt Finley talked to the Dallas Morning News about this story and basically said they've got to point, administration, SFA, whatever, point the finger at somebody else. That was his job, right? That he and Ryan McDermott, who's not talking, isn't that their job to make sure that these young men or student athletes are in academic standing?
That would be correct, yes.
So is Matt Finley lying?
David, I don't know if he's lying or not. Again, I will tell you this. I stand by the report. That report was done by the NCAA from the staff standpoint, based and rooted in the NCAA bylaws and the NCAA manual. There is a whole bylaw dedicated in the manual as it relates to eligibility. So again, and I will tell you that our current process is a collaborative effort between our compliance and our academic unit. So again, I'm not getting into with Matt. He's done a lot for this place. He spent 29 years here. He gave a lot to this place and has done a lot of things. It's an unfortunate situation, and I certainly feel bad that this is going on. But again, by the NCAA report, it's pretty clear. If anybody were to read the negotiated resolution that was released, I think you can kind of decipher that on your own. So
Colby Carthell's in his second year. Also, Kyle Keller, who I've known for years, since back in the 80s or 90s with his time at Tyler Junior College and been. You have basically an elite men's basketball program. How did you get the NCAA to wait a year for your postseason ban?
Oh, I'm just really good at arguing things. I think for us, and when you look at the current situation from a men's basketball standpoint, and the COVID-19 pandemic and everything that the NCAA was through, especially in the winter and the spring championships. What we did petition them. We actually petitioned the Committee on Academics because, again, I think individuals have to understand that our infractions case and the APR are two separate issues, right? But PR is a collection of the infractions case. We had to go back and make adjustments and corrections to our EPR scores over that 4-year period. And so we petitioned the Committee on Academics, and basically we said, similar to, along these lines of, look, we have 6 juniors that came here. They were 28-3 this year. We had a massive win over Duke. We were poised to make a run in the Southland Conference tournament. Really believed that we had a chance, to have a chance to win a game or two, maybe in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, that was taken away from us, and rightfully so, like it should have been in that situation. But we don't believe that punishing these 6 seniors 2 years in a row is the right thing to do, and is in the spirit and the intent of what the APR penalty ramifications are for. In addition to that, the academic data shows us that if a student athlete transfers in their last year of eligibility, the likelihood of graduating is very small. And so for us to put these 6 seniors into a position to where they would have to transfer or miss the opportunity for postseason 2 years in a row, again, in the spirit or the intent of what this is about. And again, I think that's, and after getting some feedback from the Committee on Academics, that was